Tesla Model X versus Model Y. This is the reason why I made this video right here. Shouts out to this guy right here, okay? Now, I get this a lot because I'm thinking about because I'm 6'2". I'm 6'2". I'm not I wouldn't consider myself a big boy or anything like that. When I hear things like that, I think of like a big guy, you know what I'm saying? I'm a little bit big, but I'm not a big guy, you know what I'm saying? So if I were to think about which one I would feel would be more spacious, I would kind of want to just lean towards a Model X, but not everybody wants to be on a superstar role when they drive a car. And what I mean by that is the doors go up like this. So the Model X has the Falcon doors. And not everybody likes to be on Front Street every time they open up their car doors, you know, because we don't see that every day. We see Model X's a lot, but do you actually get to see them put up their door a lot? No. Usually what's funny about it, most people I see are usually riding alone in these things. The seats do go all the way down, so you would have a lot of room to actually sleep in the car if you were sleeping in the car, or if you just needed more room. I mean, in all honesty, I can still kind of suggest you to be in a Model 3. Even though it seems like a small car, it's not a small car. There's been many videos out there on YouTube that I've watched where these guys are like 6'3", 6'4", and they're bigger guys too. They're not just tall, they're bigger and taller. And they both say that the Model 3 feels comfortable as well. Now, I personally think that if you're gonna go for something of that nature, you might as well just go for the Model S. But you gotta think, the price to value is so different in that aspect. With Model X and Model Y, I would still feel confident, even as a bigger person, being able to suggest the Model Y over the Model X, especially if you're on a budget. Because not everybody has $70,000 to fork out, or financing $70,000 on their credit. Do they even think about even wanting to do something of that nature? So to me, when I think about having a Model X versus a Model Y, do you want style and comfort? Model X. Do you just want more room and efficiency? Model Y. More affordable as well as efficient. Now, both vehicles are solid vehicles for sure. I've seen older Model X's and they never had any issues with their doors, except for their really early models, like when they first came out. They had a few issues with the hydraulic doors, but since the first year to maybe even the second year, they've been completely fixed. So even if you got a fourth generation Model X, you would be just fine. Now, I would say go for the 100D, which is the performance. Reason why you want to go for the performance is because the battery is better. The battery, the way it degrades over time, has a better run degrading over time with Model X. And then I would also not want it to be in a cold climate. Unless you live in a cold climate, then okay, but at the same time, the colder it is, especially back then, they didn't use the heat pumps as they do in the newer models. So if you don't have a heat pump one, then ultimately your car is not going to get warm as fast. The efficiency is going to run extremely low. You don't want to have something that's going to be more of a burden because you have to sit out there and charge it all the time because you live in a really cold environment. In that aspect, if you're living in the cold, in a very cold environment, I'm definitely going to suggest you go for the Model Y. The Model X is great. I just don't trust it in snow. I feel like that's more of like yeah, it gets cold here, but not, oh my God, it's Colorado, absolutely freezing cold. New York, Wyoming, any type of extreme cold, I feel like that's not the car for you. Even though it can still function, I just don't feel like that's the car you should have. Model Y, I've watched many YouTubers that lived in their cars and live what's called the van life, even in the Model Y. They're around there driving around in Wyoming and North Dakotas and many different states, and they're just fine. I've never heard them complaining about anything. They're like, yeah, it's the best car I've ever owned. But get one no matter what model you get. Get one with a heat pump already installed, because You want your car to be able to get hot when you need it to get hot and get cold when you want it to get it cold. And those ones work the most efficient. There's another guy, the guy is called Out of Spec. Out of Spec, he has an older video where he goes one against the other. And there are Model 3s, I believe. And they were showing the older Model 3 with no heat pump and Model 3 with a heat pump. And it was drastically different. He left it out. It was like -5 or something crazy, right? Some extremely cold, and they were ultimately heating it up, see how long it would take to get to that point of like, ooh, it's super hot in here, you know? And they got the first one, which was the one with the heat pump. There you go. You can get it right, Daryl. Come on now. That one right there took about 35 minutes to get to that point. The other one took almost an hour, and it still wasn't even to that point. So there is a drastic difference between the heat pump versus not a heat pump. You can definitely take a look at those things, and I would just say that's better. Now, the good thing about getting an older Tesla is a lot of the times you'll have ones that already still have, you can't get it from the dealership. I'm talking about privately owned, so you'll have to pay cash for this. You'll have the unlimited supercharger still involved, because when they were selling cars back then, in order to push the cars off the lot, they would give you unlimited supercharging as an incentive to buy now versus later, which is great because they don't offer that at all anymore. So I would say that if you're going to get a older car, you might as well get one and look for it specifically, because they usually will say it in the details of the car that they still have the unlimited supercharger, which really helps because guess what? You can go driving across the nation on the unlimited supercharger and be able to go wherever you want to go. That is a high perk right there, because that's travel expenses. So if you wanted to go from California all the way to New York, that's normally going to cost X amount of dollars. Now all you going to spend is on the price of travel. You don't have to do anything besides stop and charge. So if you actually brought your own food and brought everything you needed besides stopping for the bathroom break, which would be the charge break, and doing it that way, you would literally go there for absolutely free. Like, you wouldn't have to worry about anything if you brought everything you needed onto the trip. And with the travel wise, I would say you'd want to, if you're going to be doing a lot of traveling, I would definitely go for a Model Y over the Model X because of efficiency. Now, they're both good, but if you're talking about older Y and Model X, they are not as efficient. There's a big gap between them. I know they'll say, well, they have a bigger battery in the Model X. Why wouldn't that last longer? Well, because of the fact that it is so heavy, as well as the fact that it is an older one. Even if it is a performance, it still evens out to being less efficient than the Model Y. Even the brand new ones, if you just go and look at a brand new all-wheel drive Model Y and look at a brand new all-wheel drive Model X, you're going to see that the miles gap is like this. It's not very much. It's not a big gap between those. Even the Model 3 and the Model S isn't a big gap, unless you're going for the absolute top, which would be the Plaid. But then at that point, you're spending almost $100,000 on a car. Or when it was popular, you spent over $100,000 for the car, and it's not even double the difference between the Model 3 and the Model Y, and the Model S. So when you're looking at the Model Y versus the Model X, it's in the same scenario. So you can get a brand new one right now starting at $31,000, right? Obviously with taxes and incentives and all this other stuff is how you get that low. Or you're starting at $65,000 for the Model X, and the Model X does have the doors, which is the benefit. But like I said, not everybody wants to be on Front Street with that type of vehicle. That's kind of what's holding the Cybertruck back, is because, yeah, it's cool, it's amazing, but then you start hearing all these nightmare stories of how people just won't leave them alone because they've never seen a Cybertruck ever. Just like when you're driving up in your Model X and then you decide to open up those doors, most people haven't seen that happen, so they definitely want to stop and look. Some people might want to take a picture, some people might have questions. These are the things that you got to really take in consideration when you're saying, yes, I'm going to get the Model X versus the Model Y. Model Y is very low key. Model X, very on Front Street. So it's up to you on really what you feel like would be worth it for you, and take your own budget in consideration. If money is not an issue whatsoever, then I would just say, you know what? If you don't mind being on Front Street, get the Model X. It's a beautiful one. I would get a brand new one though. I wouldn't even go for an older one. But if you, money is an issue, and if you go for an older Model X, you can get that anywhere between $30,000 to $40,000 versus $60,000 to $80,000. It's a big difference. So you got to understand that if you're willing to take the hit and buy it straight out, then I would go ahead and go for the used market. There's a lot of great used market Teslas out there, and they still have the tax incentive for the used Tesla market. So you might be able to combine some things in together to give this person instant credit. And the great thing about it is when you do that, they get their money deposited from the transaction. You don't have to worry about it. It's like if you applied for a grant. You're like, hey, I got the Pell Grant. When they submit the grant, it goes to your bank account. It's the same thing with that tax credit on the used EV market. It goes straight there. Dealers do the same exact thing, but they like to take it off the top. So they'll be like, hey, this is a $21,000 Tesla. So you think $21,000 minus the $4,000 is going to be this Tesla. No, they've already taken it down to attract you to the price, and $21,000 plus, taxes and registration and licensing is going to be extra on top of that. You're not going to save any money. You've already saved the money. They've already given you this front street price. You got to kind of watch out for those people as well. But I would do some more digging on what you would like, especially if you're a bigger guy. Go to a Tesla dealership. You don't even have to talk to anybody. All you have to do is go to Tesla.com and schedule yourself a test drive. That way you can see exactly which car you feel is for you. Because at this moment, you don't want to try and spend all this money just based off my video or other people's videos, and then all of a sudden you spend all this money, and just go out for a test drive just like any other thing. The great thing about Tesla test drives is it's a hands-off experience, unless you're talking about like a Cybertruck. But as long as you're 25 and older, they will definitely just hand you the key, and you can just go out there and drive it and enjoy it your own. The reason why they do that is because they want to give you that experience of you picturing it being your car, rather than some salesman trying to be a salesman and ruining the experience, because this person's not going to be in the car when you're driving down the road. This person's only going to be around when you're doing the signing. So the great thing about Tesla is they don't want you to feel that pressure. If you're going to buy the car, let the car sell itself. That's how the experience has always been. Let the car do itself, Here's the key, have fun, be back in 30 minutes. And sometimes, this doesn't happen often, but sometimes they have an overnight event to where you can actually book a test drive for overnight and be able to spend overnight with your Tesla. I mean, you can only drive up to 100 miles, but at the same time, at least they give you that option. I've never heard of that anywhere. I'm not saying it's never been done, but I'm just saying, wow, I had no clue that was even possible. You can look that up too. It might be an event in your area. But other than that, just book a test drive and see what car is for you. Like I said, if I were going to pick a Model X versus a Model Y, and I wanted to be efficient as well as low-key and not on Front Street, I'm definitely going to pick the Model Y, especially for the price point. If you're going to get a new Model Y, you might as well just wait until the Juniper comes out, or just wait until the Juniper comes out, so that way the new Model Y, which is called the Juniper, once it comes out, the price of the previous generation will come down. So if you don't want the refresh model and you don't care about the newest car, just wait until that one comes out, and the used market will reflect the price of what you would save if you didn't wait. You're going to see something like 20 to 30% off. Imagine that. Imagine you were just about to pull the trigger on it. Now you can save 20 to 30% because of the fact that everybody wants the new one. Just like if you wanted the Model 3 2023 before the 2024 came out, once that 2024 came out, that 2023 came really down in price. Then you get the 2023, but I like all the refresh stuff in the 2023, and you probably will like all the refresh stuff because it's all the same from the 2023 to 2024 on the 2024 Model 3 and the Model Y. So you're gonna get a lot of those same features. So you don't want to you just gotta figure out which way is worth it for you. I would personally go for a used Model Y just because it's better, it's easier. It's just like, yeah, sure, you're not gonna get all the bells and whistles with it, but at the same time, at least you're getting something that you want, okay? Just get it at a better price. That's all I'm trying to say. That's the great thing about the EV market, is the EV market is coming down in value. It was all the way to the ceiling with people buying over $100,000 worth of vehicles, and now they're starting to acclimate to the economy. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for your question. If you guys have any questions, definitely comment down below and I'll respond with a video. As you already know, I don't respond ever through the comment section. The reason why I don't do that is because these people, once a video goes viral, you have all these people in the comments trying to scam you, and I'm not going to be one of those guys to where you think it's me, but you know, if you've been here at all, you know it's not me. I'm not in the comment section whatsoever. Leave a comment down below. I read all of the comments, and if you decide to ask me a question, I will go ahead and answer it through a video. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you subscribe, and if it gave you just even a little bit of value at all, hit that like button. I appreciate you guys. Peace.